Welcome to Smart Social Tips. I am so glad to have you here today. We are going to be talking about creating a brand for yourself online. And I have the best guest today to help me explain this to you, and that is the digital mentor himself, Alan Hennessy. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Great to see you. How are
Good
you?
evening where you are, good morning where I am. So we cover the whole like sort of afternoon world. We cover the world a little bit. So we're good. How you doing?
No, all good. Yeah. Busy. Very, very busy.
I
Uh,
know. Thank
so
you for
much
taking
going
time to
on.
come and talk to me about this during I know what is a very busy
Oh,
time
it's
for
always
you.
it's always a pleasure to come and
Mhm.
talk to you. It's
Sure.
always a pleasure to come on here with you and have a chat. And yeah, it's great. It's great to be here.
Awesome. And if you're listening, as you're coming in, definitely let us know you're here. We can see your comments. So just quickly let us know you're here whenever you jump in, whenever you do, even if you're in replay. That way we can talk to you later. But we're really going to be talking about that whole branding situation, how we can make a brand for our companies and you kind of stand out in the whole digital melee. Because I think that's something that, Alan, a lot of people are stressed out about is really that issue. It seems very noisy. It seems like really crowded. Sometimes it's hard to know what to say. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So you are, how long have you been in marketing? I know a long time, but like me.
Longer than I care to remember, as they say here. But
Mhm.
no, I've been in marketing for, I suppose, the guts of, I suppose, 15, 16 years at least at this stage
Mhm.
now. Every year it just gets more, and you go, oh, yeah, it's actually 15 years, it's actually 60, that type of way. But yeah, no, that's what I've been doing. So I was around when we were creating websites and
Yeah,
other
the
bits
creation
and
of the
pieces like
world. We were
that.
both around
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning of time.
Yeah, exactly. So like so
Yeah.
that's where I've been doing this for 15, 16 years now at this stage. And yeah, I'm passionate about it. And I'm passionate about seeing people learning and
Mhm.
understanding how the opportunities that are out there. And that's really where I like to that's where I've based myself around.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And one of the things I think is interesting here too is that you have had a company. So what I'm trying to point out is that you've been doing this a long time, but
Mm,
still, there's always another level. There's always a different level to get to.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people think that you're on this journey of entrepreneurship and owners business ownership, and you're going to a destination. I always say we're going toward a horizon, right? So
Mm.
um, you're never really there, are you?
No, you're not. And like, look, we have a digital marketing agency, which is a very successful digital marketing agency. People have actually said to me, "So why are you rebranding yourself and stuff like that?" And I'm going,
Compass
"Well,
Media. Yeah, Compass.
so Compass Media is the digital marketing agency, and we provide services for clients for
Mhm.
all shapes and forms of different digital marketing aspects of their business." But what I found is that I'm passionate, and I've always been passionate about helping entrepreneurs, helping business owners to understand. And I get a lot of them questions when people will talk to me, whether it be at meetings or whether it be at networking events or even online events as well. So it was really sort of starting to come into, I suppose, it really came to the forefront and as early, I suppose, late last year, where I was sort of said, look, I've had a conversation with yourself, I've had conversations with others, and they said, look, you need to step out from behind the brand and rebrand yourself. So that's one of the reasons why I did that, because I feel that
Mhm.
as much as the agency work is great, I am so passionate about teaching people, and what I love, and you're probably the same,
Mhm.
is when you see people having those light bulb moments saying, oh, and it's not as daunting as what people think. It's just about structure. It's just about planning, and it's about understanding what's available to you. And I always say to people, don't be all things to everybody. You know, target your audience, who it is that you want to be in front of, and work to that goal, and then take it and build on that from there. So that's one of the really, really important things that I sort of wanted to bring across. And of course, the digital mentor came around from people always saying to me, oh, you're the digital mentor. And we had a fantastic conversation over
Yeah, we
about
did.
2 or 3 hours. and going through different names, and we eventually came up with the digital mentor. So Cami was there, and she was one of the people that helped me invent this whole name and this brand at this stage.
Well, yeah, I was just a sounding board for you. You
Mm,
invented it. But yeah, it was really I think that this is a really important point you're making is that you also have to have people that you can bounce things off of
mm,
and connect with because there's a lot of those aha moments that happen in those conversations. I know that I was having a conversation the other day with someone. Her name is Cooper Monroe, but we did one of these early at SeaWorld. We did one of these really early mommy blogger kind of
mm,
conferences where we brought them overnight that we did all these things that had never really been done before. That was way, 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 way back in like 2008, I think it was something like that. And so she and I were reminiscing, and I realized that what I really love is helping people to build their authority. And so I've
mm,
kind of been leaning into the authority thing, just like you've been leaning into the digital mentor thing. I helped people build their authority using influencers, also using their own authority. So that's one of the things I see you doing really well, Alan, is just like leaning into building your authority and and just giving back. So could you tell me like what this has happened over about the last year or so where
mm.
you've done this new rebrand. Could you tell me the steps that you took, like step by step? Think about what you did first and kind of give me the steps that you've taken over the last year.
Okay, I suppose, yeah. Well, like the way I sort of broach this subject and the way I sort of always look at it, I'm very much a systems. I like to have
Mhm,
plans. I like to have structure where I know where I'm going to do it. So before I even thought about building anything online, what I done was is I actually sat down and I looked at, okay, so what do you want to achieve with this? So
mhm,
that's the key point, was what do I want to achieve? Who is this service going to be for?
mhm,
And then with them sort of key points in mind, that's when I started to say, okay, right, well, what do I need? Or what is it that people are looking? So I built the brand sort of with the customer in mind, that they're going to be able to come to me because they feel that trust and they feel that authority. So that was one of the big things. So I suppose the planning out before I even decided to start creating content or started creating the brand.
mhm,
So that was the key part of it. So once I have that in place, now I need to look at how am I going to actually structure this? How am I going to plan this out? What assets do I need?
mhm,
What do I need to do to build it? And this was never done on computers. This was wrote in hand and planned out, because it's the only way, because I'm a huge believer that the more you write, the deeper it goes in. So you keep you
mhm,
keep a lot more focused. So putting the plan in place, then I said, okay, these are the elements that I need to do. This is what I want to do, and this is, what do I want to achieve. And then I set out the goals and the objectives. So the time frames that I was going to have these particular
mhm,
tasks done in. So that was a really, really important part, because what it done is it gave me deadlines to meet. That because look, at the end of the day, a lot we will all procrastinate. We'll all say, "Oh yeah,
yeah,
I'll get to that tomorrow. I get to." Whereas if you have timelines, and it's like, you know we've done it for the last 15
mhm,
years when it comes to clients works and stuff like that. We have deadlines to meet and stuff like that. So that's why I felt it was very important to structure this. Then I started to look at, okay, right, well, what else can I develop here that will build the
mhm,
authority and build the visibility for this? So one of them was writing a book, which will be
mhm.
due out next month.
Yep.
The other one was to obviously build a website, build the social media. But I started to, tease people with what I was doing. So people were starting to
Mhm,
say, oh, Compass Media, why the digital mentor? So it was part of the process. So it was starting a bit of intrigue as much as anything else.
mhm,
So it was building on that momentum. So then when we did launch it, there wasn't this like, oh, who's this? It was like, oh, I'm looking forward to this. So we were able to build the excitement through it as well. So that was part of it. So as we would normally do, we built the
Mm.
website. We started creating content, you know, social media graphics, video content. Podcast is coming up where I'm just in the process of
Mm.
finalizing the details for the new podcast that's going to start next month.
Nice.
So there's loads of different things, and like, okay, I've the Social Media Talks podcast, which is more of an interview based podcast,
It is.
whereas this one is going to be me talking. It's about me giving advice. So it's yet again, that was thought of. It wasn't just sort of like, okay, well, let's start a podcast. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, there was clear focus and saying, okay, this is what we want to do, because it gives me more assets to be able
Mm.
to promote and to help people and to guide them to different places. So there was all of this was all starting to build. So I think it's really down to key elements is when you're rebranding is if you have a business, and we sometimes we fall into the trap of going, oh, well, I'll just do this and I'll do this. But that's how you did it for the other business. If you're going to rebrand and you're going to revamp, you need to be coming up with fresh ideas, with fresh content, fresh type of focus, because that's what it's all about. So planning it, strategizing it, then starting to build it. That's it. And the building process is a joy because you have that clear focus. You have that. And anytime you start feeling that you're
Mhm.
going off center, you can go back to what your original planning and strategy was and pull yourself back to it.
That's really interesting you say that. I wanted to actually kind of jump in there and ask you something. Did you meet all of your deadlines perfectly?
No, not
Thank you.
particularly. No,
Thank
no,
you. I just wanna be clear that this is not a perfection exercise.
no, I didn't. And I didn't. And I've always said it, and I've said it here before, is like it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. Things just don't happen. They
No.
don't, yes, you are going to miss deadlines, but if you can be as close to them or give yourself, look, we all know life gets in the way. We all know that things happen that you're not going to do it. And, nothing is ever perfect dates, and that was
Mm,
achieved and that was achieved.
no.
But I think if you have a goal, if you have an objective to reach, and you'll be more focused on doing that. And
Mhm.
that's where, I think, yes,
So what's your
you know,
goal?
the goal is to help as many people as possible and to build a brand and to let people know that the digital mentor is here to help you navigate the digital landscape.
Good
you know
job. So, and I would actually also put a number with that if I were you. How many people do you want to help, and by when? Sorry, that's me being your mentor. Or your accountability partner, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I just feel like that's really important that you have like very specific things that you're aiming for. So for me, I want
Mm,
to help 1,000 PR marketing and consultants and and coaches to build their authority online so that they can have successful and profitable businesses. So
mm,
that's for the Smart Social Secret side, which is what this whole podcast slash video cast is about. And
mm,
so that is really important to me. So I have a number in my head, and I want to do that. By the end of 2023, I'm scared of that. And even if I don't hit that number, I'm going to help so many more people than I would have helped otherwise.
And
You know.
I think that's a key important part of this full disclaimer,
Mhm.
I am part of the Smart Social Secrets Authority, the program, and you spoke earlier on about accountability and
Mhm.
and having people to bounce ideas off, and your group, and I'm not just saying this because we're here, but it has helped me because as much as I'm doing this for the last 15 years, when you see something when it's in front of you and you're doing it every day, you don't
Mhm.
take sometimes into consideration what else you can do or who you should actually do it for and how you should do it. So having that accountability and also having you there as a mentor, and then also having the group as well to bounce ideas off and to find out information, I think is key important. So if you are doing something like this, talk to people that have been in your business or in your business, and then ask them for advice. Like I've talked to huge amount of people. Like obviously with the podcast that
Mhm.
I have, I know so many digital marketers, and I've been able to call on them for information and saying, how do I do this, or what do you think of this idea, or what does this look like, or with this. And the feedback is always brilliant because it helps you. And when you reach out to people, they are so kind to be able that will actually stop and have a chat with you. They won't sort of, I'm too busy, because they've been there themselves, or they know the situations they're in. And that's where I'm coming from with the digital mentor. It's the whole idea is I've been through this process, so I'm just going to help you to fast track it and not to make the mistakes that I made over the years. And I think that's very important as well. So that's one of the reasons why I like to I like this whole concept. I'm so happy at the moment. It's just great because every day I'm going, oh, look at this, and it's so it's all good
It's
to do.
exciting, it is,
It's
and it's
super
exciting to
exciting.
watch you too, it's so fun. But, you've also done a lot of this work, and the funny thing about this is that as you build your networks and so forth, being a part of a group and mastery is one of them. You have the global tea break, which is like
Mm,
a really cool and free international meetup of business owners. That's been really powerful for me, so going there and hearing the ideas and just seeing different points of view, culturally,
mm,
as well as different points of view for different types of businesses, has been really powerful. And we help each other, so you help me and then you join my group. We're just kind of helping each other. It's like the ideas that you grow together, all boats rise together. Is kind of
yeah,
maybe my philosophy. What about you?
yeah. And it is. It's all about It's about community. We're always talking about it.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
so important because there's so much support for that. And like, don't get me wrong, everyone can't be excited every day of the week. Sometimes we get fussed, we get all upset, we no, we sort of say, oh, well, why am I doing this? But then you just turn to your community and you say,
Mhm.
look, I'm having a bit of a bad day, or whatever it may be, or I'm
Yeah.
struggling with this particular issue. Can anyone help me? And you'll always get people who'll come and talk to you. And then you'll be able to, it lifts you as much as
Mhm.
anything else. So I think having that community and that around you is so important, and especially in business. And the great thing about it is not so much, not more so now than ever, because we're in the same country or the same county or the same
Mhm.
town. We're worldwide, so we can be anywhere in the
Yeah.
world, and we're also getting a lot of different perspectives on things.
Mhm.
So that's a really good opportunity. But I think I can always go back to when I'm looking at content, even for the website or for the
Mhm.
content that I'm going to push out. I always think of, is this person who's going to read this, are they going to get value from this? Are they going to
Mm.
Is this going to
Yeah.
help them? Because when you think like that, sometimes what you write, you go, no, that doesn't come across the way it's supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And you go back and you think about it, and it's that type of thing can be so important when you're
I
putting
think
something out.
that's so important you say that. I'm so glad you brought that up because I do think that a lot of times people are frustrated with social media because they see it as a way for them to get their point across or to promote the thing that they want to promote, and they just are desperate for that to kind of break through in a way that they just you forget that it's really about the person that's there. I do want us to answer what Bart said before we move on too far from what we
Mm,
were talking about in perfectionism. So Bart from our studio audience has asked us a or question or made a statement, which I think is maybe a lot of people might be thinking this. So I want to bring it up. And that is about perfectionism, right? And he says it's hard to shake the perfectionism part when you've strived for perfection over a lifetime. And I think that's really, it's not that perfection is bad. It's not bad to have a quality product or a quality thing. Um, I'm not saying that. So, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how can we overcome perfectionism but still have really great products?
okay, well, this is where I throw the cat amongst the pigeons here, and I would say that
Mhm,
I don't think you can ever have perfection, because I think the reason why I say that is because
mhm,
what happens is when you think something is perfect, you will still find something that is not right about it. So it's never going to be perfect. It isn't. So I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as perfection, because we will always say, oh no, that could be a little bit better, that could be a bit better. But with regards to striving for perfection. And I totally get what Bart says,
Mhm.
but I think it's important that we just got to get up and do these things. We've literally got to do these things. We've just got to say, okay, right, let's go. Let's put this out. And you can develop it along the way. It doesn't have
Incremental
to be.
growth, it's
Yeah.
totally a thing.
It's
Yeah.
literally just keep it, get it going. And then,
Mhm.
as like I've done it where I've done
Mhm.
training programs, and someone will say something to me on the training program and it'll spark something in me and I go, oh, I can add that in. So it's, again, I'm building all the time. I'm constantly learning. And I think we're always constantly learning in that respect. So I think that it's just about getting up and going for it and doing it. And, you know, when you think it's perfect or you think you're happy with it, it's going that just that little bit extra, just that little bit extra, and then you'll see it'll strive you on to do more and more and more. So I
Have you
think
ever gone back and looked at some of your very, very early live streams or your very early videos or listened to an early podcast?
yeah, and I only had this conversation with a student of mine only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and
Mhm.
we were talking about podcasting, and I
Mhm.
was teaching her about podcasts and stuff like that, and she was saying, oh, your podcast is so good, and I says, okay, now go back to listen to the very first podcast I did,
Mhm.
and I says, maybe listen to the first, second, and third one and listen to it. And then I says, you'll see that they weren't that great back then. And she said, well, why do you keep them up there? And I says, because it shows people that as you move up, as you start to understand it, that how much better you get to a degree. I'm still not perfect. I'm still not, they're still not right. They're still not where I want them to be. But I can see when I look back and I go, oh,
Mhm.
really? Some of the websites I built back in the day, I was going, oh,
Yeah. Remember
I,
GeoCities? I'm sorry,
mm,
that's really old. But, my friend Jenny Dietrich, she actually just did a LinkedIn profile, message the other day. It was the anniversary of her blog, which was Spin Sucks.
mm,
And Spin Sucks is a very well-known PR blog that has grown over the years, and she's the one who made up the, oh gosh, I'm gonna say it wrong, but, the owned, earned, paid, me the peso model.
mm.
She's the one who actually created that model, like, she
Very good.
invented
Yeah.
it herself, and she put up her first blog post, and she does it every year on the anniversary of Spin Sucks, and she says, "Hey, look at this. I put this up every year because this blog post basically is terrible, and, I want you to see that, you can come a long way just by getting out and starting to do things and honing your craft and
Yeah.
getting better
Totally.
every minute." And it should be terrible. The thing that is like 10 years ago should not be the quality of the thing you're putting out today, because you should be better, plus technology, plus everything. But,
But
I think that is
that's
so
how we,
powerful. Hmm?
yeah, and that's how we progress. That's how
Mhm.
we constantly progress, and we constantly reinvent ourselves. We constantly do this, and not just talking about our businesses, but in our life, we reinvent ourselves every day. So it's a process that we should go through, and we should also be proud to look back at what we've done. Like we were talking about something. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was talking about the book and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I was saying, oh, I was supposed to have this done in a certain amount of time. And he went, yeah, but Alan, you've built a whole brand around this book.
It's crazy.
So, you've done probably 10 times more than what others have done around one book. And I was
The
saying,
same period
yeah.
of time,
And
easily.
you just sort of it's only when you step back from it and you step out of yourself and you go, well, actually, you know what? They're actually right. I have done that. And then it sort of made me think, okay, well, this is a very good example of how rebranding can perform and how you can do it, because I've been through the process, I've
Yeah.
seen it, and I understand it. So that's where I think it's really important, and that's another learning curve for us all. And then we just start sharing that experience with others, like we're doing here. You know?
It's so brilliant. It's a refining fire, right?
Mm,
Hone each other, like as iron sharpens iron. I mean, I'm not trying to be biblical, but when you're with other people, you kind of learn what you need to learn, and you bend and you mold into what you need to be in order to make it happen. So yeah, and we're getting very philosophical about it, but I also believe that it's the truth. People that think, oh, I've got to go into the basement, make sure it's perfect, and then launch it. It's fine to do that, but then you're going to have to go through the refining process anyway.
Mm. Yeah,
You're gonna
exactly.
have to do it anyway. That's the
Yeah,
funny part, no matter what, you're gonna have to do it, which is,
yeah.
so
I
I think it's good to get a what I call a minimum viable product out there that you feel happy with,
mm,
that you're proud of. I mean, don't put some junk up there, but put something you're proud up, and then put it out to your audience, and then your audience will tell you whether it's interesting or not
yeah,
by their votes, by like, are they signing up for it, are they asking questions, are they interacting with you around that thing? And if they aren't, then you have some work to do, and that's great, because that means that you can consistently do that. So I hate it when people say, well, I try to do a live stream, or I try to do this and I failed, nobody like interacts with it. I'm like, okay, then what do you need to tweak in order to make that
yeah,
where
exactly.
somebody will interact with it? I don't know. How is that the way you do that too?
Yeah, I totally agree with it. Like I was talking to only a girl the other day, and
Mhm.
who has she started a brand at the start of COVID because her job went, and she was like, oh my god, what am I going to do?
Mhm.
And she says, right, I'm going to try and start building the brand. And she was only talking to me the other day, and she says, I could never go back to what I did before because uh, like where I am now. And she says, but it has been such a journey because I've learned so much from so many people. And that's exactly what I'm saying is like it wasn't perfect when she started. She said, like, I was a bit rough at the start of doing this
Mhm.
stuff, but now she said, I'm starting to really get into where I want to be, do exactly. I've found, my area of expertise. I've found my audience, and she's worked hard at it. But it's been hard work that she's enjoyed and stuff like that. And, at the end of the
Mhm.
day, I always say, you know, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's so important. It's so important because you've got to have fun along the way. Like I always say when I'm training or when I'm doing, I say, we are going to have some fun today. As much as anything else, we are going to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to get all the work done as well. And people are a lot more relaxed from that point of view because they know you've gone into that with that idea that it's not just bang, bang, bang. Now there is times when you have to be, but at the end of the day, it should be all about growing together and understanding. I think that's a key important part of it, So that's where I see things are. I think that it's very important if you're I suppose if you're going to rebrand is the key important element here. And it's fundamental in anything that we do is to think about it first. Is it a viable option?
Mhm.
Should you do it? And what are the steps that you need to take to do it? What are the goals? What are the objectives to do it? And I always, when I'm teaching people, I just love to see. I love when I look back at what they've done and say, I was part of that. And that's where the
It's
digital
good.
mentor really comes into play with me because I can
Mhm.
go about my day and say, yes, I've seen that. I've seen that things. And I had, now, don't get me wrong, most people will do most of the work themselves.
They do.
We're just guiding them, but you have a small part in it in some
Yeah,
shape
I
or
mean, I feel
form.
that about you too. So like, I mean,
Mm.
I feel like I have a small part in your story, but it's not a huge part, but it's a small part, and
A
it's a
huge
good.
part. Well, it is a huge part, and also we can let people know as well that Cami has wrote the foreword for my new book, which is due out. So I'm looking forward to. So I was honoured for you to do that as well. That meant a lot to me.
No, it was fun to write it. So I'm glad you asked me. I'm glad you asked me. I was really honored to write it. So I'm going to do a little show and tell with our audience while we have a few more minutes. I try to like end about half an hour, and we're kind of there. So I want to do a little show and tell of your website and sort of what you've done with your digital branding. One of the things we haven't talked about is the logos and the colors and the schemes, and
Mm,
all those things are really important for branding. But as Alan usually says, that's like just the basically the icing on the cake, right? Talk
yeah,
about that.
I think it's important that you pick your right, you break your branding, pick your logos, develop your brand, And that's a big part of a rebrand is to actually do that. And
Mhm.
that's what we've done a lot with, especially with the website.
Mhm.
I knew the colors, what I wanted it to be. I wanted the particular look, the feel of it, and that's where we went with it,
You
you know.
started with the website. I remember that was really kind of where it seems like you to me you started.
Yeah, it was. And like, even like, as you can see here, where like it's really has all it's branded the same way. If you look at any of the social content, it's the same colors, it's the same fonts, it's the same, you
Mhm.
know, tone of
Mhm.
language, everything. I always say, like, people say when you're talking about branding, oh, your brand,
Mhm.
it's just your, it's your logo. And I go, no, it's so much more. It's everything that you do is what your
It
branding is.
totally is. And so, I'm gonna put up your URL here for so people can go take a look at what you're doing. But you have some great things. You do digital courses, you've got your mentorships that you're are just a like, one-on-one kind of things and also group programs. You have a membership academy,
Mm,
which is really your group program. And so I'm really excited about how you've put this together. I mean, you have all of it in one spot. And then you've got your book here that's coming up, which is amazing. So you're talking about your book beforehand. You've got all these cool new photos where you're, cut out and looking at, stuff. And yeah, I did those a couple of years ago when I started rebranding for Smart Social Secrets, right? So really cool stuff. And then, yeah, so you can get one-on-one coaching with Alan. You can do all kinds of things from this website. And then your social media looks the same. And I'm going to probably go down here and see if I can't find that real quick. I think it's at the bottom. Yeah. So I'm just going to I'll just go to Instagram real quick because it's so visual.
let's hope it
Um,
works.
huh? Yeah,
Let's
let's
hope
hope
it
it
works.
works. I'm sorry. I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Like, oh wow. So, he's got all of this matching, right? So everywhere else, like his digital graphics and everything, kind of blend with his
Oh, wrong
overall
compass
look.
media there for some
Huh?
reason. That's the
Oh,
wrong
that's not the
compass
right
media.
one.
No. Anyway,
Okay. See, I just
anyway.
found a bug in your website,
See,
but
there's a bug. There's always bugs.
let me just really quickly find you. I know I have you in here, so I'll make us bigger. Here you
There
go.
we go.
Compass Media. There you go. It's just, yeah, there's probably just one thing
How
off.
embarrassing is that for me?
Oh, I don't know. See, that's we were talking about not perfectionism,
There
right?
you go.
Sorry, but it's just not that. Oh, hey, I'm not following you on this particular account. Very bad. See, I'm embarrassed now. Okay, see, so now we're equal. But you see, he's got all of his branding on here. So his actual graphics are really strategies and things like that are they're not really, promoting his stuff that much. It's just mostly just, kind of giving you information that you need. And it
Mm,
matches up with his website, right? It looks the
yeah.
same. Do you see that? How it all looks the same? Nice little cohesive look. So, I mean, I think that's really cool that you're doing that because, I'm going to be honest and tell them that your trying to come up with a word. Your expertise is in website building. So you actually build websites. So that
Mm,
actually is a good place to start. Start where you're comfortable. I always say that. Start where you're comfortable in your marketing. So if you're comfortable with writing, write blog posts. If you're comfortable with creating graphics, create graphics that are beautiful,
yeah.
that have your style in them, and then kind of go out from wherever it is you start. Um, and this is really one thing I think I need to go on and do a reel about this, but I've been doing all these Sudoku puzzles lately. I don't know why, but it just calms my brain at night. And I'm getting excited because at first, when I would sit down to do them, I would have a really hard time with them. Like they took me forever to do just one,
Mm,
like maybe an hour. Like sometimes they take me up to an hour to do one Sudoku puzzle, not an easy one, but like a harder one. And I was really kind of frustrated with that. And I started just doing them every day, every day, every day. And what I started to learn is that you pick at different things. You're like, I'm picking at the number 3 and I'm trying to pick at this puzzle. And once you pull the right string,
yeah.
the entire puzzle comes unraveled
Yeah.
like that. So if you learn a few tricks to get to that unraveling point faster, then you are going to absolutely 100% do all of this stuff faster. So the first time you do this stuff, it's going to feel really hard, like you're walking through mud. What
Mm.
do you?
Oh,
I mean, is that?
yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I'm a firm believer in that. Is like we had done it. Oh, okay. We'd done it before with, with our work and with the agencies and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And we've done it with the websites before, we've built
Mhm.
them and stuff like that. So it was a fairly easy process. But what it really was is it was being able to go, okay, I need this, and this before I even get to that
Mhm.
point. So in order for me to sort of to launch this brand, I
Yeah.
needed to have somewhere where people could go to find out information. Because I've seen it before where I've seen brands saying, "Oh, and we're brand new and we're going to be relaunched. We've relaunched," and we say, "Okay, and the website is coming soon." And you go, "Okay, well, how are you going to tell me about it? How am I going to find out this information?" So I needed to have all of that in place before I started really l-
Mhm.
done the official launch for it.
Right.
As I said, I done teasers to get it out there and just to get people thinking about it.
Mhm.
What is this? What's going on? So, but
But
that was the key.
your landing page, so to speak, can be as simple as like,
Mm,
a link tree
yeah.
or like you don't have to make it super
Well,
complex
it
at
doesn't.
first.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Some of the best websites out there. Yeah, but so that what I'm saying is some of the best websites out there are the simplest of websites. As
Mhm.
long as the information that they're giving is valuable and that is to the point, that there's not a load of fluff around it.
Mhm.
That's it. And like as you say, it can be just one landing page, or it can be one or two or three or whatever you want. And that's where your building process is that's where you say, okay, right, I need to add a page for this, I need to add a page for that, and so on. So all of these different bits and pieces can all be added, but it's about starting, getting on with it, and just setting it up
Mhm.
and have it
Yeah.
something that's tangible,
So
or something that's valuable to be able to do.
I love that you say that because this is kind of something that happened to me. So I wanted to get we have an instant authority workshop that we do about every like twice a year or so,
Mm,
and we are going to be doing that in October. So I do want to talk about that real quick, but in the context of this, and I'll show you why. So I was kind of struggling with the landing page for that because I didn't like how everything looked. Like everything was bothering me. I built it a couple of different places and I just didn't like the way it looked. And this week, Canva, or last week, Canva said that they were going to start allowing us to do websites through Canva, like actual websites on Canva, including like being able to add your URL to it.
mm.
So I'd be like, I know how to use Canva. My team uses Canva. I know how to use it myself personally. And I wanted to personally build this. And so I built the entire website in one day yesterday. Do you want to see it?
Wow.
Do you want
Yeah,
to see it?
please, love
Okay.
to see it.
All right. So here is the website that I built yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that is fab.
What do you think?
And that's
So
done all in Canva.
yeah, so this is Canva and it's Get Instant Authority. I'll actually put that up here so you guys can see what the deal is. But this is a 1 day or actually a 2 hour workshop. This is how you got into Smart Social Mastery. So at the end of the workshop, I do offer Smart Social Mastery. It's the only really time you can get into Smart Social Mastery because I go deep into my customers' businesses. And we work together as a team. As Alan knows, I
Mm,
serve at that level. But this is the whole website.
that is incredible.
Isn't it beautiful? And I didn't have to really do too much because I already know how to do it. And then at the bottom, I put in a type form and hooked it up to ConvertKit. That's what took the most time was putting this type form in and hooking it up to ConvertKit. But once it was hooked up, like once you sign up here, it sends a little signal to ConvertKit, puts a little tag
Mm,
on you. So I know that you're going to that one. And then I've got a nice little email sequence that'll send you out an email and say, hey, here's the Zoom link for the workshop.
mm.
It's really cool too, because it actually, you can add, look what I did. I just did it like this. So it's a one page thing, but it's beautiful. Isn't it beautiful?
It is. I'm just looking at it. I'm just saying, for someone who is trying to build a website and they say, "Oh,
Mhm.
where do I start?" or "I don't have the money to do it," like Canva, like giving you a golden opportunity there to
Mhm.
use it. And there's so many of these tools out there. There's so many of these, websites out there that have all of this type of cool stuff
Mhm.
on it that you can do. Like that looks, like the way sometimes you might say, oh well, that was done there, or that was
I know.
that looks as as professional as the next person's website.
Yeah.
And I think, and as you say, being able to do that in one day, well,
I
that's
know, I did,
phenomenal.
and including all of the automations. I set it all up
Mm,
yesterday, put the whole thing together. I did pick out the template last week. They do give you a couple of templates to start with. This is a template, but I changed everything. I changed all the photos, I changed all
yeah,
the colors, I changed all the things, but it was easy for me to do because I already know how to use Canva,
yeah,
pretty proficiently because we've been using it for years in our agency. But even if you don't know how to do it, they have a template. All you have to do is change your colors, dump in a couple of pictures that you like, and they have the pictures. You can actually get them directly off of Canva, right? Too.
yeah, yeah. No, no, it is like,
So,
like Canva has come on so much in the last number of years. And they just keep constantly adding to it, day in, day out. I don't think there's a week that has gone by in the last, I'd say, 6 or 7 months
yeah.
that there hasn't been a new feature on Canva. And I would be a huge fan of Photoshop, but I find myself now, because of the the technology and what you can do with Canva,
Mhm.
that I actually will go into Canva and I'll use that quicker.
Mhm.
And like,
Yeah.
even like we regards to, like, as you're saying on my Instagram,
Mhm.
all of them, they're all that there. I set up templates, and then I
Mhm.
just change the information, so
Right.
I can create 20, 30 graphics in a couple of hours.
Yeah, and I mean, I do them for the I do them for the,
And that's the
thumbnails for
great
the
thing.
show. That's all templated in Canva. So, I
Mm,
mean, I will create a template for this particular brand too, and that's coming. So, it's just there's tools out there. That one is the one that I really love and adore. But those are the kind of ideas that you can do. And hopefully
mm.
that helps you guys in some ways. I would love to have you come for Instant Authority. The link for Instant Authority is in the description for this video. So just look in the description. The link is there. The link to Alan's website is also in the description. So all you have to do is go up there and click on those things. I do have all that in the description for you, so you can check it out, because I want you to connect with Alan. So that's your to-do list. Your to-do list is to go connect with
Action.
Alan on all of his different social media, Compass Media, which you saw is a little bit hard. So he'll fix that in just a minute. As soon as we're off this call, I promise
I
you.
will. I will.
It's
That's the
probably gonna
first
take
thing
me
I'm doing.
30
But like,
seconds
wow.
to fix this. And then you can also sign up for Instant Authority, especially if you are a coach or a consultant. So, like, if you are a professional services consultant, you help other people with their businesses. This social mastery is really for you. That's what it's meant for. We really have a lot of PR and marketing people in it, but it can also, you could be a financial advisor. It really is meant for somebody who is a professional services person. And that would be great. I would love to have you come for Instant Authority. You will build your entire, like, 90 days worth of content in, like, I don't know. I think we did it in 7 minutes, didn't we, Alan?
Yeah, I think
Something
it was.
crazy.
Yeah, I think it was about 7 or 9 minutes.
Right. It
It
took a
was
little
just.
setup. It took a little
Yeah,
setup. It's a 2-hour workshop. I'm going to be giving you a few other things while you're there, including how to build your online authority. It's really, I'm calling it a map to your online authority. So I would love to have you there. It's free. I have 3 different options for it. This time I'm not giving it just once, I'm giving it 3 times. So it's like a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in October, the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So it's a couple weeks off. So you have some time to put it in your calendar, figure it out. I hopefully all of my automations will work. So maybe you can be my testers today and jump on there and tell me if it all works. So I am so excited to have had you on the show. I am so excited for your book that's coming up. We'll have to have you back for the
mm,
book.
no
You want to come
problem,
back
no
for the
problem.
book?
I will. I'll be
Okay.
delighted to. But it's been a pleasure here,
Mhm.
to be on the show with you. And
Yeah.
I would totally, full testimonial saying, you know, go on these workshops. They are absolutely incredible. You learn so much. Even like, as I said, I'm in this business nearly 15, 16, and even I was going, oh. So, every day is a school day, and every day we're learning. So,
Uh-huh.
and I would
Never
definitely
stop
say,
learning, right?
if you haven't, if you are even thinking about it, don't think about it. Just do it now. Simple as that.
Just do it. Thank
Let's
you
do
so, so much, Alan, for coming today. And we will talk to you soon. And yeah, your stuff is looking great. I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait for the next year. You've got everything set up to like just
that.
explode. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And thanks again for letting me jump on here with you. And if, as I said, if anyone wants to reach out to me, happy to have a chat with them. And make sure to connect me. You'll always get me on LinkedIn and
Mhm.
Twitter, my sort of platforms of choice. But I am on all of them. But wherever you are comfortable, please do connect me and make sure that you say that you see me here, because it's always great to know where people have found me. I'm always intrigued by that. I'm doing this 16 years now at this stage, and I still go, "Where did you find me?" And when the people collect my, "Oh, I seen you on," and I go, "Oh, great." So so that's it's always good, and it's a good question to ask as well.
Mhm. It is.
Mm,
It's a good question so that you know where to spend your time. So
exactly.
cool. All
So,
right. We will see you guys next week, same time. And we will probably have one other person from the mastery program to talk to. So I'm still like solidifying who that will be. I think it might be Sheena, but we'll see. And we will talk to you next week with one more episode of Smart Social Secrets Tips. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.